Hello ladies and gents, this is a new video brought to you by Ants Hood. And today's video is about my Messor barbarus, and they're still growing. I mean, they're growing really well, it's pretty cool. But anyway, I'm also going to have a quick look at my Messor arenarius. God, I don't know why I forgot how to say that one there. But yeah, my Messor arenarius. Now, I do intend this video to be a quick video, but you know what I'm like for gobbling on when I'm talking about ants. So I will try and keep this nice, sweet and short. But anyway, let's get seeing how they're doing. In my last video, I left them like this, how they had the two outworlds connected and they had a second nest connected as well. Now, believe it or not, I didn't actually take a picture of what they're looking like now from as a whole, but never mind. But what I did notice is this outworld here, they pretty much stopped using it completely, favouring the glass outworld here. So what I'm going to do here is take that outworld off because one, they're not using it. Two, it's very difficult to move it around when I want to do filming or give them a good clean out because I'm on a high shelf at the moment. And three, I really need that outworld for something else. But if we take a look at how they're getting on as we speak, because that was an old photo, you can see they've got that pooey mess cement stuff that they make. It is quite messy in here because it's elevated. It's difficult for me to clean, so I generally leave it for longer than I should. I also need to reapply this barrier because they are crossing it on a regular basis. If you look there, that whitey thing just there, that is actually plastic from the tubing, but I'll talk about that a bit more. These test tubes are a pain. They require so much water. I have to feed them in test tubes because if I just try and put a normal liquid feeder in there, they go through it like no one's business. But I will talk about this tubing in a bit because it's quite relevant, and it was something I picked up on the designs of these nests last time. If you look at this outworld here, again, they have not used it at all, practically. This is all that they do with it. I do put food in there to try and encourage their movement into there, but they're generally not interested, so I'm going to remove it because I need it. This is the blackout nest. Now, they prefer the red one to this one, but at the moment it's not very busy. But when I checked them today, they've all practically moved into here, and this is practically full, with the red one, as we'll see in a second, only being about half full. So they have grown in size since this video as well, because I did this a couple of weeks ago, but I've just been so busy I've not been able to get a video out yet. Now, if we get a macro shot in, I can't remember which nest this one is. We'll probably find out when we pan around it how busy it is. But as you can see, I do love these guys. These are the bi-colours. Now, you get Messors that are just jet black, and this is a tubing, off on a tangent, that's the tubing I'm talking about. But yeah, they're generally jet black, but these guys have got two colours, so you have got some of the jet black workers, but the larger ones have got a nice little deep red or a lighter red head, and it just makes them a little bit more interesting, even though they're polymorphic anyway. And for beginner species, which I would say these were-ish, difficult to find, but for beginner species, they, with the polymorphism and the interesting colours like this, they're really cool to keep, and I would recommend them for most new ant keepers. Now, I still don't know which nest this one is, but yeah, let's move on to the other one. If I was going to be a betting man, I'd say this is probably the red one because this has got brooding. I don't think the black one did when I did these videos, but it was a while ago. Yet again, that's a tubing you just seen there. It's had scratched up. I need to talk about tubing in a bit anyway because it is very problematic. But anyway, as you can see here, there's some ant bread. That looks cool. These guys are doing fine. This is definitely the red one, looking at it here. I've got a nice pile of brood. I don't ever see masses of brood with these guys, but they are growing at a steady pace. So I'm not overly concerned that there is never a big pile because she's never had a big pile, but she always seems to do well. What is that? Is that a seed on her head? I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, they're doing cool. Not bothered by me. They're really, really low maintenance. Apart from keeping on top of the seeds and water, that's all I ever do with these guys. And I don't need to worry about them too much, but they are really cool to look at. And like I said, I don't think they're too bad for beginner species if you can leave them alone in the foundation stage. These have always been on a shelf because if I put them on a table, it bangs too much and they get stressed out. So it's not really ideal for them because they do react badly to any form of vibrations and stuff like that. So I would strongly recommend that you do put these on a shelf where you can leave them be, ideally where you can still see them. I don't look into the nest of these that often. I mainly just watch them in the outworld and seeing what they're doing, which is generally crossing barriers because they're really annoying at that. But yeah, they're doing really well, quite happy, and I think that was just a glimpse of the queen. Now, if we take a look at this though, this is a freeze frame from that video I just played. You see this kind of scratching around here? What that actually is the tubing. Now, these guys have got really strong jaws, hence how they can crack into seeds and stuff like that and mulch it down. And they've taken to chewing at the tubing that I used to connect this all up with. Now, this is what I was talking about with the design of these nests. The only fault I've got with them is the fact that they don't have like a lip where the tubing goes into to stop them doing this because they won't be able to grip it per se. They will get through it eventually, but it will slow it down. These guys chew through these tubing like no one's business. Now, I leave my ants alone for short periods of time, I don't particularly check them all the time. So this is quite a problem for me, because literally they've chewed this tubing down to the lowest they can go at the moment without me needing to replace it. It is quite the pain, and it's unavoidable, unfortunately. So I just have to keep on top of it so they don't get it out and escape once they chew through into the open with this, and they will if I leave it unsupervised. But it is worth knowing it's not just Messors that do this. I've had a number of ants do it, but Messors take it to the next level and they do proper attack the tubing. So it is worthwhile, if you do get these nests, keeping an eye on that tubing, because other ants will chew it as well. But my Messors are just particularly prolific at it. So I'll sped this up a little bit so you're not going to sit and watch me being boring. Take a look at that bit of tubing there on the one I just disconnected on the right. As you can see, it used to be a lot bigger, but they've chewed it all the way down. Like I said, it's a real problem with these girls, is that they chew through those tubings. It's definitely worth keeping an eye on. Now, relatively speaking, the disconnecting was pretty easy, because I just put a stopper in there and the stopper's still holding out, and I am keeping an eye on it because I'm kind of expecting them to chew through that as well. But what I did find when I tried to move these girls as well, that the tubing is just not long enough and it disconnects because it gets too big. They've chewed it right down. Now, I do need to replace it at some point in the future. I'm keeping an eye on it in case they do get out. But I think at this point I already applied a fresh barrier, which is what I was talking about before, but they literally took them a couple of days to get past it. I have got some new barrier stuff because I was using the Antantics barrier there. It wasn't too great, but I've got some new stuff, so hopefully that will work better than that, because they just got over it really, really easily. As you can see from that last video before I just stopped recording it, I was emptying out this outworld. Now this is the old one. Look at this stuff here. Now this is the best way to describe it. It's kind of like a wood MDF where it's all wood glued together, and that's exactly how this feels, because it's all the husks and all the rubbish detritus they get from the seeds, grinding down the seeds, and they've welded it to the side of the wall. This is the, believe it or not, it's upside down, but this is the top part of the outworld, and with their feces, or their poop, they've welded it together, and it's like MDF when you break a bit of MDF, like manufactured wood, and it's that kind of texture. It's very much like that. It's very hard and solid, and the truth is the only way to really get it out is to soak it in water and let it slowly crumple apart, and then you can get it off. But it is very hard stuff, and to tell you the truth, it's really interesting that they form it. I've never seen it before in this size anyway for a long time, but yeah, interesting point. Now, I thought I actually filmed myself cleaning out the outworld, but you can clearly see here I've pretty much done. Now, the water isn't overly empty here, but I'm filling it up because after this I was going away for a couple of weeks, so I wasn't going to touch them at all. So I was just making sure the test tube's full. It's now empty. I need to replace it again, but I'm getting onto my ant stuff later, because I'm probably going to go live after for putting this, editing this together anyway, because I haven't done any videos for such a long time, and I think it's right, and I can chat rubbish with my people that want to watch it. That might be a bit of a spur of the moment thing anyway. Now, I have sped this up because it's relatively boring, but as you can see, I haven't completely cleaned the outworld out because I can't, because they're too busy in there. But I've cleaned most of it up, and then they can put it back in the trash. And you see that little cementy poop that's in the corner there of the outworld? I struggled to clean that out, but I did the best I can. It is what it is. You're not always going to get it perfectly clean. Now, I do use a keyboard hoover, but sometimes it's just best to leave it because you end up sucking up so much ants. But you can see it's practically clean in there now, so I'm not too concerned. It's all right. So this is my Messor rnrs. They are currently in the Wakooshi Saturn nest, the only species I've put in a Saturn nest to actually enjoy it. So I do think, I know a lot of people rant and rave about how good the Saturns are. I'm not overly taken with them, but these guys are doing okay. As you can see here from this picture, they've got plenty of brood. They're not a fast-growing species because they're huge. The queen is absolutely huger. But yeah, they're doing fine. I've got a couple of test tubes at the top that I've got no water in it. In fact, all these had water in, but they've pulled out the cotton wool because that's what they like to do. And they use it for their own living space. They're not overly bothered by hydration, as they wouldn't be in there. Just a normal test tube, because as soon as I put one that has got water in it, I think I'll do it in this video later, I can't remember, they just drink out of it. They don't put any brood in there, so they're happy, to be fair, so I'm not going to bother them. With them being in a Saturn nest, it doesn't lend itself to being great for doing macro shots, but I do think these girls are really impressive. I do love the majors, how they've got more of a ready tint to them over their normal black that you'll get from other Messors. But as you can see here, they're getting on fine. They've got plenty of brood and different developments. The queen isn't ever in the darkness, so she's some little baby larvae. The queen's never in darkness, so she's come accustomed to the light. There's larvae feeding on some ant bread there by the looks of it. Yeah, that's a pretty cool shot if I can keep a steady hand. Oh well. Yeah, so they've got loads of different larvae and stuff like that. What I have found is the majority of them don't hang out in the test tubes, they hang out in the outworld. Outworld's always fairly busy. I'm not sure if I've got any footage of it after this. I'll check it out. Let's see where they've chopped into that seed. That's cool. But yeah, they predominantly hang out in the outworld. They don't generally fill the test tubes up. I don't know why that is. Preference again, maybe because there's not enough space in the test tubes that they actually want. I do have another 2 levels of test tubes I can put on, which I might look at doing that with once the water in the top test tube, which I think you'll see. There's the queen. She's massive, absolutely ginormous. Now, this is another species that I keep on a shelf out of my normal view. Now, they don't overly do anything overly interesting. They don't swarm prey when I put it in there. They're quite solitary hunters anyway, and they recruit workers if they need to. So they don't do anything overly interesting apart from pull cotton wool, which is a pain in the bum. But they are cool to look at just because they're so big. Now, like I said before, I'm no massive fan of the Saturn nest, but what I will give them is they're easy to clean out. All I do is pop the test tube off, out as you can see here, tap the workers into the outworld, pick up the cotton wool in a bit, and then just do what I need to do with the test tube. That's very seamless and very easy to deal with, so I can't fault the nest there. I just can't get other species to work in it from what I put in there. Clearly I'm putting the wrong kind of ants in there, but like I said, that's just me. I don't particularly like the Saturn, to be honest. Going against the trend of what everybody else thinks, I'm not a fan. But anyway, so relatively easy to look after, very easy to care for in here. And like I said, because they're accustomed to the light, I've got no concerns about them at all. They're doing really well in here. They do chill in the outworld a lot more than normal. But hey, my rnrs are still doing really well. And because they are such a big species, they are quite popular, but they are expensive. I think the cheapest I've ever seen them for sale at a retail is about 150, 160 quid. So they're not on the cheap side of life. And they're not overly interested in the arts that they've got loads of stuff that they're doing all the time to keep it interesting into watching them. A bit like, you know, like my, what am I looking at now? I can't even figure the name of them. My Campernotus nicobrensis. Yeah, they're fairly steady. They're very well established colony, but they're still interesting to watch. I just don't see it with these guys. I don't know why. I'm not getting rid of them. I like having them, but I just don't find them overly interesting. But like I said, personal preference, I guess. Anyway, I will stop talking rubbish and I will end it there. I do appreciate your patience with me, guys. I know I've not been very consistent. I have been away from home for a while, and I try and avoid being at home most weekends when I can, because I just don't like being at home anymore. Another story. But yeah, so I am trying to get these videos out. Luckily, I've got this week's leave, next week's leave, so I'm going to do a load of videos, so you've got a consistent number of videos over the week. I'm also potentially doing live not long after this gets uploaded and goes live on YouTube. So stick around if you get this far. I might be live, maybe not, who knows. But anyway, I do appreciate you watching this video, so thank you very much. If you did like it, hit the like and subscribe. And I also a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. These guys are continuing to support my channel, even though I've not been very consistent, so I do owe them a big, huge, massive thank you. So I'd like to say a big, huge, massive thank you, because I've said that enough times today, to Adam W, Antantics, Anty Matters, David D, Paul A, Pjants, PJGrant, and the 530 Ski. Your support makes my channel what it is today, and I thank you. If you guys want to become a Patreon supporter, check the link out in the description below. But I've also got a Facebook membership, so I need to say thank you to these guys too. So please join me in saying a big thank you to Anty Matters, Lee, Pjants, Pumpkin, Wakooshi. Thank you for your continued support as well, chaps, because it's much appreciated. To my understanding, it's just a tab below this video where you can hit send thanks or something like that to join the membership. So if you want to join the membership, do that. But that's it from me today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing my next one. Bye-bye for now.